Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is that you are and wherever you may be. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I am Brad Franklin, a creative content writer here in Chesterfield. I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Now, we do this every year in other media circles. They call it a car wash, where you have certain people come through, you ask them similar questions, similar sort of setup. My colleague Jim Holland over at the blog Chesterfield on Point did something similar with a Q&A series. I'm going to have all 5 members of the Chesterfield Board of Supervisors, as we like to do every year. We will start, as we always do, with the chair, who's Mr. Jim Holland from the Dale District. Mr. Holland, welcome to the podcast, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Brad. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you,
Pleasure.
too. I really, as we were just talking about a minute ago, I love symmetry. This is your third time on the Board of as a chair of the Board of Supervisors, your third time here on the podcast.
Yes.
Before we get into the nuts and bolts of all the different things going on in Chesterfield, all the wonderful stuff going on, obviously, in the Dale District, I want to start kind of with a more general question specifically for you about what it means to you to have been selected by your peers for the third time as chair of the Board of Supervisors here in Chesterfield County.
Brad, truly honored and humbled at the opportunity to lead the board a third time.
Yeah.
Because that means I have an opportunity to get it even better than what I've done before. And certainly we've had some great years here in Chesterfield County. And I can always see the opportunity to improve, to be better. And that's what my goal is, always to be better. I have this phrase I always use, that we're on a journey toward excellence, which means we don't have a destination. We're just getting better and better and better. And I want to say that 3 times because 3 times is a charm. And so I look forward to it, Brad. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Your emphasis on excellence, that is not the first time, if you're listening to this podcast, that you're going to hear that word, because having covered you and worked here in Chesterfield for the last few years, I know that is something that is extremely important to you. And I feel like it is something you hearken back to time and time again. I mentioned my colleague, Jim, rolling out that Q&A series. One of the things that he did that I thought was cool was that he sort of brought a little bit of like the personality, so to speak, right? Who are all you 5 away from public meetings, away from doing the work of the people of Chesterfield. And you know what? They say the sincerest form of flattery is basically stealing from people, right? So I'm going to borrow. We're going to use the word borrow, Mr. Holland. We're going to use the word borrow. I'm going to borrow from Jim here and kind of dig into that a little bit. Away from ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings and things like that, I think I want to ask all 5 of you the same question. What are some of the things that you like to spend your time doing outside of board business when you're not at those public meetings? What kind of things do you like to spend your time and energy on outside of Chesterfield County stuff?
Well, family. It's family, church, faith, and of course it's community. Visiting some of our wonderful parks, and I enjoy reading great books, just so many wonderful books to read. I have a long list now I'm working on reading. And
I feel like having a long list of books is not necessarily conducive to when you're chairman of the Board of Supervisors, because I feel like as chair, it's a lot of responsibility. But I love that you have that passion. Do you have a specific park? Is there one that's a favorite, or is it hard to pick one of your many children, so to speak?
Well, I love Dale District parks first. I love them all, but let me just start with the Dale District.
Absolutely,
Harry Daniels Park, Rockwood Square Park. And certainly the other areas, such as a new park that we're contemplating, which is going to be the Cogbill Park. I can't wait to see that being built. And the fruit trees we're going to have in it as well. So I'm excited about that.
Good deal. Now, in terms of the whole county as a whole, in terms of the county as a whole, we can't really start many other places other than on the budget. Obviously, we're right on the cusp of budget season. It's probably one of the biggest sort of pieces of the puzzle for a chair in any sort of year. Obviously, that whole thing will be starting soon. We'll have lots of opportunities for the public to make their comments and to sort of get information, and lots of different meetings, lots of different things like that. What are some of the things that you think will be key for the county during this budget cycle?
Well, first of all, listening to the citizens would be critically important to get their insight on the budget. We have a proposed budget that we will present, the county administrator's budget, but the supervisors really take a very serious look at the budget and what their priorities are and how. And so this year is especially unique in that I have 2 relatively new board members who've not gone through the budget cycle fully. And so having gone through it several years before, I have some insight on that. But what I want to really do is take an opportunity to look at how we can continue to improve the process that is communicating with the public via Facebook and other mediums, and visiting with them in the community as well. We're going to have a community meetings, as you know, but it's really listening and trying to get a sense of where the community wants to go. We've listened before. We'll continue to listen and see what we need to tweak, change, and continue to listen. I will have to continue to listen to board members to make sure I'm including their priorities, what they want to accomplish for their district and for Chesterfield entirely, which is so critically important in the budget cycle. Because we want to get it right. We want to have a great budget. We always do it on time and timely, and we always have a balanced budget, as you well know. But it's listening to the citizens and including their priorities in the budget, so that as we go forward, I think everyone will be happy and pleased with the results.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, kind of communications and that idea, again, that idea of excellence, right? Quality of services. I feel like you talk about that goal and that drive quite often. What are some of the things that you would like to see from the county this year in terms of, quality of services? And what kind of things have you heard from your residents in the various community conversations that you've had to this point?
Well, first of all, number one is making sure we have the very best in community services. We want to be excellent. That's one of my goals: excellent in public service.
Right.
That's every department pulling together, making sure Chesterfield is the best. I always tell people we want the best managed counties in the nation, and with that comes the responsibility of having, of course, the best services all out via all our departments. In addition, what I've heard, I've had 2 community meetings already, which has been wonderful. I want to thank my staff members as well who were there with me to listen and to gain the insight from the citizens about, for example, sidewalks. They want more amenities. We want to continue to enhance and improve education.
Right.
We want to continue to enhance and improve transportation. So those are areas of opportunity. Sidewalks, walkability, biking, areas of concerns to my constituents in Dale, as well as throughout the county from what I'm hearing.
Now, you mentioned Dale. Let's drill into some district-specific topics. We'll start with education. Last time you were here, we talked about Fallen Creek Middle. We talked about the plan to do the work there. You got a new elementary school sort of on that horizon as well. You had the ribbon cutting at Byrd for the new turf field this past year. What do you feel like the outlook is looking forward now for school facilities in the coming years in Dale?
Great question. Thank you. It's wonderful. It's great. I'm really excited about this summer opening a brand new Fallen Creek Middle School. It has been years in the making, so I'm really excited about it. One of the best schools we're going to have in the county, certainly. Excited about that. Excited about the elementary school you mentioned too. That's planned for 2026, which we are looking forward to, and certainly looking forward to improving everything it relates to the fields around the schools, athletic fields, athletic facilities, so that all our youth can participate not only educationally but health-wise as well.
I had an opportunity recently to see the video that our department did when they cut the ribbon on that turf field, and I don't know who was happier than you that day, because the smile on your face was just as big as it could have been. Speaking of smiles, listen, Beulah was one thing we talked about last time too a lot. We spent a lot of time talking about that, how to modernize that old facility, and certainly the amenities that have been brought to that park, specifically the cricket pitch and the excitement around that, and the uniqueness, right? There's just not many, cricket pitches in and around the greater Richmond area. How excited are you about that entire facility and having that, open to the public, folks able to use that public land here in the community? What does that mean to you to have it open?
Thank you, Brian. It's very excited about the cricket, I'm going to say world-class cricket field, which will have the associated amenities there for the community, and it's right there at Beulah Rec Center, which is a beautiful and wonderful facility. Everyone that visits it loves it, and so we're very pleased. I'm very pleased. Let me just say, with what we have and where we're going. What a wonderful investment by the county. I can't help but thank my colleagues and the community who support it. And so it's I'm really excited about that field and what it's going to do, and of course what we can use it for in the future for the citizens in that area.
And using older facilities like that, modernizing them, still having that footprint within the community, obviously a big focus for you. There also are going to be those opportunities where maybe there are things that don't exist in places. We sort of have to identify. One of those was Courthouse Landing, something else we talked a lot about, at the intersection of Courthouse and Iron Bridge. They broke ground there in the fall. Work now fully underway. Every time I leave the office and I'm heading back toward 288, it's like, what new thing have they done today, so to speak. I'm sure that's one that obviously, because of, its location, but also sort of your own ideals for what you want for the community and in and around, not just here, but in all of the greater Chesterfield area. I'm sure that's one that you're also very happy to sort of see so much progress on.
Yeah, very excited about it. And the community is too. And we're excited about the extension. We'll go there. And I was just sharing with someone this morning that I'm looking forward to the new steakhouse restaurant that's coming.
Right. Yeah.
A few more places to eat and enjoy and to socialize with friends and family.
Right.
So it's a wonderful opportunity for this district. It's something I've looked forward to for years to come. And it's actually coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And I'm just very excited about that prospect. And other areas in Dale as well, we have a lot of things going on, such as the Swimmer RVA, the Ridgedale area plan.
Right.
So we have a lot planned in the future to really enhance the community with amenities such as those. So the Courthouse Landing is going to be a big plus for not only the community, but also for county residents and for our workforce too, who work in this county area. So you have far more amenities to get out for lunch and maybe walk and enjoy nature and our trails and paths. So wonderful opportunities for all of us, the entire community. So great.
Very much looking forward to that. Obviously, in terms of, we can think about, the job that the supervisor has, is multifaceted. There's lots of things that obviously are sort of falling into onto your plate, so to speak. And one of those things is road improvements. Traffic is a very big focus for a lot of folks for obvious reasons, right?
Yes.
When we were last with you, we talked about sort of Nash Road and the revenue sharing there, the 50-50 between state and county funds to extend it from Beach Road to 10. I think that project was awarded last fall and construction is underway, anticipated to be completed in the spring of 2026. That and also the Route 10 widening, which I feel like is almost done. There's like some little odds and ends they gotta, some T's they gotta cross and some I's they gotta dot. But basically, those two projects I know were central for you the last time we spoke, and certainly you're seeing lots of movement on one, the other. Just as close to done as it can be. It depends on when you're listening to this episode as to whether or not it's technically completed or not. But I know that road improvements and making those kinds of things, and as you mentioned, bike pedestrian accommodations. I know in Hopkins there's obviously a movement there. What is those aspects in terms of transportation? I would imagine that's something you hear about the most. And how refreshing is it to be able to go to people and say, look at the actual projects and this is the progress we're making. How nice is it to be able to take that information to people when you talk to them?
It's exciting, I have to tell you, because as you probably know, safety is one of our highest priorities in Chesterfield County.
For sure.
So being safe as well as healthy, and just getting out, being able to walk, have sidewalks, bikeways, and paths that citizens can use as well as employees. So I'm very excited about the safety aspect of that, because what we're doing is actually, when you look at the roadways that we're improving opportunities for people to be safer.
Yeah.
They have one of the safest communities. That's a designation we may want to consider contemplating.
Yeah.
One of the safest communities in the area, in the region. So it's critically important, and I'm excited when I meet with citizens in meetings to share what we're doing and that we're on the move and we're journeying. I want to say again, we're journeying toward excellence in that regard with regard to transportation and safety.
Yeah. And you mentioned, earlier you were talking about sort of the pedestrian, whether it's sidewalks and that kind of thing. There's I think the county secured a federal grant, I think it was like 162 application nationwide to put in some of those sidewalks in and around Route 1. And the county, I think, matches that 20%. Basically, going to widen different approaches and different kinds of things like that. One thing the county is also doing is the microtransit service, right? GRTC is coming.
Yes.
We're actually planning on doing an episode very soon with GRTC about the microtransit service that they're doing, the pilot program they've got coming to Chesterfield. So this could not be any more timely. We really, sometimes, I'd rather be lucky than good, as my dad used to say. But in terms of microtransit, what does that mean to you, and how big of a, not just in terms of safety, but in terms of kind of the environmental impact of that, how big is microtransit and the possibilities there for folks in Chesterfield?
Hugely important, especially in the Dale District in this area as well as in Matorka. It's critically important because we see citizens walking. We want them to be able to walk safely along sidewalks, as well as to have transit via different places they have to attend and go to. So it's critically important. I'm very excited. I just spoke to someone last week about that microtransit, and I'm excited to see it launch here in the area. And, of course, the grants, as you mentioned, which is so important to funding that. And so that has been one of my highest priorities is transportation, because when we see citizens walking, we want to make sure they're walking for enjoyment, not because they have to walk.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's why microtransfer will be critically important to getting them to the critical goods and services they need and want, as well as parents and students too. So it will benefit all of us in that regard. So it's a wonderful opportunity, transportation, and it's an exciting time to be in Chesterfield with microtransit coming.
Absolutely. And I think I saw something the other day that the price of new car ownership has never been higher, not simply because of the price of the cars, but everything that goes with that in addition. You mentioned Ridgedale a little while ago, and I want to, before we move on to what I'd like to call my last question for this series of podcasts, now it's officially part of the comp plan. How good is that for not just the county as a whole, but for the folks in and around Ridgedale to have that special focus area plan now as part of the comp plan to be able to move forward with sort of that written, laid out, straightforward, going ahead into the future?
Well, it's critically important. And I was so pleased last fall when the board of supervisors approved the Ridgedale area plan, because it's something we have been contemplating for years. I had, and I think it's going to greatly enhance that area, complementing from RVA, as you know, and they're looking at plans for the future as well. And so having additional housing, more importantly, having amenities in that area that citizens want, is going to be a big plus for that area as we improve other areas, such as Springline, for an example, which is complementary. So it's an exciting entryway into Chesterfield County. And I'm looking very much toward that improvement over the next year or two, and several years. So,
and the great thing about that too is when everybody's on sort of the same page, and you can make changes like that, and everybody sort of is on it together, it certainly doesn't make a big impact. I'll get you out of here on this one, and as I referenced just a second ago, I'm gonna throughout these series of 5 podcasts with the various board of supervisors members, I'm going to ask the same last question. I'm curious to get your opinion on what do you think are some of the challenges you see facing both the county as a whole and your district specifically over the next 12 months and basically the rest of calendar 2024. What are some of the challenges you see for Chesterfield and for the Dale district?
Well, always a challenge going forward, in my opinion, and historically has been, and that is communicating with and receiving information from our citizens, and being able to make sure that we are consistently responding to their needs and providing the resources they need as well. As you know, we do a tremendous job in all areas of transportation, education, public safety, and just providing general services. So our ability to communicate and continue to listen to them is critically important in terms of the needs we have. We're continuing to do great things in the county, but if you're not connecting with your audience, if you're not connecting with the citizens, your boss, then you're missing. And so I see that as a great opportunity for us, and I think I know we can always do it better. And so what we can do better is continue to engage them and include them in, because it's really a partnership. It's us and them working together to make this one of the best places to live, work, and play, and raise a family.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Holland, I very much appreciate your time. Very much appreciate you coming back on the podcast for the 3rd time, your 3rd tenure as chair of the board. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you so very much, and bring me back if you need to. Take care.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care.
All right. Make sure you check us out on social media. On Twitter, it's at Chesterfield VA, and on Instagram, it's Chesterfield Virginia, all one word. And on Facebook, you can check out our podcast page. Just search Chesterfield Behind the Mic. Now, make sure to follow, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever it is that you get your shows. And if you're so inclined to give us a rating or review, we greatly appreciate it. As always, a video version of the show is available on our YouTube channel, as well as on our website, Chesterfield.gov/podcast. That's also where you can submit feedback anytime, make suggestions, or just reach out to us. You can watch the show on WCCT Thursday through Sunday at 7, on the weekends at noon. That's Comcast Channel 98 and Verizon Channel 28. Lastly, you can check out Chesterfield.gov/connect with us to find out a number of other ways to connect with Chesterfield County. My thanks to my director, Martin Stith, my executive producer, Teresa, Bonifas, and all the good folks from Constituent Media Services for all they do. And my thanks to you for joining us today. So, from all of us here in Chesterfield, thanks again for making us a part of your day. We'll see you again real soon. Take good care. From blogs to podcasts, and I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Newsletters to alerts, social media, the latest community news.
Welcome to the latest installment of This Week in Chesterfield.
How to get in touch, and everything in between. If you want to know about Chesterfield County, our Connect With Us webpage has you covered. Chesterfield.gov/connect with us. Connect with us, your source for all things Chesterfield.